Hey, welcome to the Tom the Bomb Sports Talk, the fastest growing sports show in the world. It's Monday, November 11th, 2024, and this is the day that the Lord has made. We will rejoice and be glad in it. If you don't think it's a great day, just try missing one. And we LOVE love sports on the Tom the Bomb Show. I'm your host, Tommy Wood, and we got another fantastic show for you today. Hey, gang, today is Veterans Day. And we want to take time personally to thank all the veterans out there for your service and all that you do for our country. Thank you for keeping our country safe and strong. You are very much appreciated and honored for all that you've done. Thank you for your courage and putting your country first. Thank you for putting your life on hold to serve our country. Thank you for the great sacrifice you've made being away from your family and loved ones, and especially for our veterans that made the ultimate sacrifice, laying down their lives in service for our country, like my big brother, Robert DeLon Wood. I want to dedicate this show to him. Thank you. May God continue to bless you and keep you in his loving arm of protections around you and your family. Amen. Hey, here on the Tom the Bomb Show, we bring together my two passions, the Word of God and sports. We bring together the excitement of sports and strengthening our faith through the Word of God. So in every episode, we try to fill it with insightful sports commentary from a Christian perspective, reminding you that how we win and lose in life truly matters. Our mission is to spread the word of God, and that's what we are called to do. Every show reflects our commitment to sharing biblical truth, offering hope and encouragement through scripture. If it's relevant to the people, it's relevant on the Tom the Bomb Show. We address significant social problems and provide guidance that is based on Christian principles in order to assist individuals in navigating the challenges that life presents. As usual, we want to start off by thanking God for all the wonderful things He's already done for us in 2024. And of course, our theme for the year has been the year of fixed purpose. Proverbs 4:25 says, "Set your gaze on the path before you with fixed purpose, looking straight ahead, ignoring life's distractions, keeping our eyes on the path and looking straight ahead. It's what's going to allow us to ignore life's daily distraction." The Bible tells us that the enemy comes for the word immediately. It's not Tom the Bomb. It's not you. It's the word of God that the enemy comes for immediately, because he doesn't want that word to take root in your life so you can become a true disciple of the Lord Jesus Christ. Hey, gang, our show is live. The call-in number is 301-655-9992, or you can join us live on Facebook, and you can catch us on YouTube at Tom the Bomb Sports Talk, and on Spotify in your car, smartphone, or iPad under the same name. You can also contact us by email at info@tomthebombsports.com, or you can go to our website at www.tomthebombsports.com to contact us and pick up your Tom the Bomb gear. Hey, today's trivia. We got trivia today. In honor of Veterans Day, who was the last Heisman Trophy winner from one of the military academies, the Army, the Navy, the Air Force, or the Marines? Okay, that's our trivia question for the day. In honor of Veterans Day, who was the last Heisman Trophy winner from one of the military academies, whether it be Army, Navy, Air Force, or Marines? All righty. All righty. So we'll come back with the answer at the end of the show, but that's our trivia question. Now, if you're on Facebook today, we also have a poll question as well. And now with our poll question, what we want you to do is we want you to comment either on Facebook, or we've included our email so you can actually shoot us an email and just let us know what you think, and because we want to really get your pace. So we're not going to give you we can't give you the answer to the poll question until the following week. But we do want you to either go online and comment on Facebook, or go to our email and just send us an email what your thoughts are on this as well. Okay? So that's where we are on that. Okay. So let's get to the poll question. Today's poll question is, are the NFL games on the level? Are the NFL on the levels? Because are they being fixed, or are some teams getting favorable calls determining the outcome of games? All righty. So hey, let's get to it. Just this week, you had the Ravens and Bengals, you had the Steelers and the Commanders, you had the Lions and the Texans. We had pass interference. Uh, every game that Mother Wiggs Kansas City Chiefs play. And the NFL is now in bed with professional gambling, okay? And strongly endorsing it. I've said it over and over again. It's going to ruin professional sports. It reminds me of prohibition and drinking and legalizing marijuana and betting on sports. As soon as the government figured out how to police it, they made it legal. Of course, it has always been around, but if you can put a government seal on it and make money, it's too big to leave to the underworld, if you know what I mean. The love of money is the root of all evil. Hey gang, what are we watching tonight? We got Monday Night Football at 8:15 p.m. Eastern on ESPN. We have the Miami Dolphins taking on the Los Angeles Rams. So let's get to our first video, or let's get to our first topic for the day. Our first topic for the day is, of course, we need an update on the East St. Louis Flyers. All gas and no brakes. It's time for East St. Louis Flyers update for the second week in a row. Ready? For the second week in a row, the Flyers advance with a dominating playoff shutout in the Illinois High School Association Class 6A quarterfinals. The top-seeded Flyers rolled past number 8 ranked Normal West 48-0 in a second-round game played during a steady rain at Clyde C. Jordan Stadium Saturday in East St. Louis, Illinois. The Flyers dominated in all facets of the game. The defense only allowed 2 first downs the whole game. In 2 playoff games, the Flyers have only allowed 3 total first down and 0 points scored as they pitched their second playoff shutout. The Flyers improved to 10-1. And will now face number 5 ranked Chatham Glenwood, who is 9-2. That'll be on the road in the quarterfinals. The Flyers defeated Springfield in the first round, 67-0 in a first round playoff game. The East St. Louis Flyers are heading toward their 11th state championship. So congratulations to our Flyers. Congratulations to our Flyers. We want to, I'm sorry. All righty. We got it. So like I said, congratulations to our Flyers. All gas, no brakes. They're getting ready to roll. All right, let's move on to our next game. Our next game takes us to college and Coach Primetime, Deion Sanders, and his Colorado Buffaloes. All righty. I really enjoyed this game. It was really nice because we got to see Colorado is now starting to respond to adversity on the road. Okay, and it's if you've been, and I know I have. I've been following Colorado pretty much all year long, and just the way football teams are supposed to, they're each week they're getting better and better and better. And that's whether it's high school, college, or NFL, that's all you're really looking for is for your team to progress and get better and better as they move on. And that's what's happening. Coach Deion Sanders, like I said, and his Colorado Buffaloes now control their own destiny after defeating Texas Tech Red Raiders 41-27 and improving to 7-2 on the year, securing at least a bowl game. But Coach Prime and his Buffaloes are now looking to crash the Big 12 Conference Championship game, okay? And basically, and earn a berth in the college football playoffs. Playoffs? Yeah, playoffs. Yeah, yes, sir. In a hostile environment on national TV to claim their 4th straight victory on the road. Impressive, Skywalker. Travis Hunter is Travis Hunter. He's a Heisman candidate. He had 9 catches for 99 yards and 1 TD. Shedeur Sanders is Shedeur. He's the NFL first-round pick at the QB position. He threw for 291 yards and 3 TDs and no interceptions. But it's the defense that showed remarkable improvement with 7 sacks, an interception, and 2 fumble recoveries after trailing 13-0. They shut the Red Raiders down in the second half. The offensive line that's keeping Shador upright. Colorado was 1-11-2 2 years ago. Now under Coach Prime, the Buffaloes are 11-10. Their next big test is Saturday against Utah at noon on Fox. They still need to cut down on dumb, unnecessary penalties like taunting. And I'd like to see a little more killer instinct to close out these games for the Colorado Buffaloes. But overall, I've really, Dion has done a phenomenal job. He's done a phenomenal job. All right, let's move on to our next game. We're doing a little bit of college here. Alabama ended the LSU Tigers' playoff hopes with a 42-13 thrashing at the hand of the Crimson Tide. Jalen Milroe was LSU's Huckleberry as he carried the Tigers to their grave, rushing for 4 TDs and 185 yards rushing from the quarterback position. Who does he think he is, Lamar Jackson? Breaking the Alabama record for TDs by a QB in a season with 16. The Tide rushed for 311 yards. 311 yards total, the most given up by LSU all year long. Alabama now is 7-2 and 4-2 in the SEC, stayed alive in the college football playoffs while dashing the LSU Tigers' hopes at the same time. The Tide still needs help with 3 teams ahead of them in the standings. Texas A&M's ahead of them, Tennessee, and Texas. LSU had too many big mistakes in critical moments, and they just didn't take advantage of momentum when it swung their way. It's hard to think of Alabama as an underdog, but they're lurking. And I don't think there are many teams that really, really want to face the Tide, okay? So it is what it is. You say Alabama is down this year. They're down this year, but hey, here they come. Like I said, they're lurking. Hey, let's get on to the NFL. We got a lot to cover. So let's get on to the NFL. Our first game we're going to cover is the MVP. Lamar Jackson outdueled Joe Burrow as the Ravens defeated the Bengals 35-34 in a thriller. Joe Burrow threw 428 yards and 4 TDs, and Ja'Marr Chase had 11 receptions and 264 yards receiving and 3 touchdown catches, and it still wasn't enough to beat the surging Baltimore Ravens and Lamar Jackson. In a tough divisional matchup, Lamar Jackson threw 4 TDs, with the last coming with just a minute and 49 seconds left in the game. Joe Burrow outdueled, Joe Burrow dueled back, leading the Bengals down the field to score. And instead of going for the extra point to tie the game up, they decided to go for the 2-point conversion for the win. After watching one of the best games of the year, it ended in controversy, as the officials again missed blatant penalties on the 2-point conversion, the 2-point conversion try attempt. Al Michaels and Thursday Night Football rules analysts said Baltimore should have at least had 2 penalties called on them on that last play. I saw 3 or 4 myself. That never happened. Now, I always say this, don't bet. Don't do it, Benny said. It's suicide. Don't bet on NFL football games. The NFL is in bed with legalized gambling, and their product is to me, it's really no longer has credibility because too many people feel that these games are fixed. This is where we're kind of tying our poll question in, and it's a serious case of perception becoming reality. It's happening way too often on a regular basis at the end of these games. It's the reason I'm really against instant replay, because you go to instant replay and they still don't get it right. You're getting the calls wrong even with instant replay. On this play with Baltimore, let's stick with this. On this play with Baltimore, first of all, I saw pass interference on the guy, and let's just cover this. Listen, if a receiver goes up for a catch and the defensive guy hits him, touches him, holds him before the ball gets there, guess what? That's pass interference. I saw pass interference on the play. We had holding, the other tight end, Mike Gesicki, they just held him. They just held him. That's penalty number 2. Then they had holding, a face mask penalty. After Joe Burrow threw the ball, the guy hit him in the head, which is another penalty, and then he grabbed his face mask all on the same play. These flag happy officials, these flag happy officials uh, keep their hands in their pocket at the critical end of the game. Former NFL referee Terry McAulay said the Ravens should have been called for at least two penalties. It was an ugly ending for Clete Blakeman's officiating crew, which did a decent job until the play actually mattered. Now, anytime in sports, anytime you know the official's name, that's bad. We officials, whether it's baseball, football, basketball, whatever it is, officials are doing a really fantastic job when you don't even notice them. If you forget that the officials are there, then they are doing a phenomenal job. But when you know the name of the officials, that's not good. That's not good at all. I'm sorry. I just don't believe these games are on the up and up. The last thing I want to bring up about this game concerning the Ravens, okay, we got to talk about this, is Derrick Henry. We got to talk about this. Okay, this was a fantastic game. The Ravens won. Yay, Ravens, 35-34. But this game would not have been this close if they would just stick to the formula. Derrick Henry had 16 carries for 68 yards. 16 carries for 68 yards. This game is not that close if you would give this guy the ball 25 times and keep Joe Burrow on the bench. How do you beat Patrick Mahomes? How do you beat Tom Brady? How do you beat Joe Montana? How do you beat Roger Staubach? How do you beat John Elway? How do you beat Dan Marino? You keep these guys on the bench with a ball control offense. And the Ravens won 35-34, but listen, we've talked about this over and over. Tom, would you stop? You're going to beat this horse to death. Derrick Henry, when he gets 100-yard rushing, his team wins over 85% of the time. Well, they still won, but this game was 34-35. And if the officials do what they're supposed to, and the Bengals get this 2-point conversion, the Ravens lose this game. And they lose this game because, hey, Lamar Jackson is having an MVP year, but Lamar Jackson MVP year is not going to win the Super Bowl for them. What's going to win the Super Bowl for them is Derrick Henry getting 20 plus carries and rushing for 100 yards. Because when that happens and you add in Lamar Jackson, the Baltimore Ravens are unbeatable. But I'm telling you right now, I can see the writing on the wall. The Ravens' downfall is going to be getting away from Derrick Henry and not giving him the ball 20 plus times. 16 carries. Come on, man. 16 carries, 68 yards. Give that man the ball. Let that brother eat. Let him eat. Listen. Let's move on to our next game. Our next game is the Pittsburgh Steelers defeated the Washington Commanders 28-27. Okay, first of all my Commanders fans out there, don't do anything crazy. You guys are fine. You're fine at 7-3. It's just a loss. You'll still be in the playoffs. The Commanders in the playoffs? Yeah. What's troubling about this loss for the Commanders for me was the coaching down the stretch. I thought the Eagles head coach, Nick Sirianni, had taken over for the Commanders, okay? After giving Commanders offensive coordinator Cliff Kingsbury credit last week, he regressed back into that passing-happy play caller he was in Arizona that cost him to lose his job as the head coach. If the Commanders run the ball at the end of that game, they come away with the W. They come away with the victory. We also see how important Brian Robinson is to this Commanders offense and ball control offense that led to that 7-2 start. I've been saying this. Brian Robinson is equivalent to what Derrick Henry is to the Ravens. The same importance that Derrick Henry is to the Ravens, that's the importance that Brian Robinson is to the Washington Commanders. And like I said, they abandoned the winning philosophy and they ended up losing. The turnovers were critical. Their turnovers were critical by Olamide Zaccheaus. He had 2 muff punts. And understanding the game and the situation, rookie Johnny Newton jumping offside, Man, you have to understand what the Steelers are trying to do at the end of that game. And they're trying to draw you offside. And you don't have to, you got to understand and you got to have discipline to not jump on that play. You had some key drops at critical times in the game. And my main man, Jaden Daniels, was uncharacteristically not accurate, which I basically contribute to the Steelers' defense pressuring the rookie QB. There was one throw that breaks that game open for the Commanders, and Jaden Daniels missed McCaffrey wide open. That game, that if he hits that pass, it's over. The bottom line is the Commanders just had too many mistakes. People are going to remember Johnny Newton jumping off sides, but the drops, the inconsistent stretches from the offense, getting away from the running game, the special team errors, way, way, way too many mental mistakes. And with all of that, they still had a chance to win. Clearly, this was the best defense young Jaden Daniels has faced. And Mike Tomlin is 13-4 coming off a bye week. He had the defense prepared and ready. It was interesting to see that Jaden Daniels' running ability never factored into this game. He rushed for 5 yards on 3 carries. So now let's talk about the Washington football team's Achilles heel. For the last 25 years, it's been the defensive backs, letting receivers get behind them and pass interference. Mike Williams, TD, man, how do you get beat that bad? How do you let that guy run past you that far? Look, man, the NFL needs to employ women in the secondary, man, because the women are not going to let the man get behind them, man. I mean, if you watch that play, he let Mike Williams just run right past him. It's like, come on, man, what are you doing? That's your job. If he catches it in front of you, you can at least tackle him. But if he gets behind you, you're dead. You're dead in the water. And don't give me a look. Let's talk about Zach Ertz. Zach Ertz had some key drops. I felt like Washington got a bad spot on the last play. But as a receiver, you got to know where the first down marker is. And your route has to be behind the line you need for the first down. So as soon as you catch the ball, you have the first down. Now, like I said, these are all mental errors. Rookie Zacchaeus and Johnny Newton, I can almost understand that because they're rookies. But veteran Zach Ertz, come on, man. Come on, man. You got to do better than that, Zach. And kudos to Mike Tomlin and the Pittsburgh Steelers. Congrats to Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson's experience and his leadership got this win for the Steelers. He's always been one of the best deep ball throwers in all of the NFL. That deep ball still has to be thrown with touch. He throws he throws a catchable ball. A lot of strong arm quarterbacks are difficult to catch their balls because they have strong, powerful arms. But the Steelers are in first place in this division, and I still think that it's the toughest division in football. And they haven't played any division games yet. But next week, they got MVP Lamar Jackson coming in town. So we're going to see how the Pittsburgh Steelers do now once they get into. You can come back. Yeah, I know you can come back to me. We're going to see how they're going to do once they get into the division. And like I said, they're starting this week with the Ravens. So we're going to see if the Steelers are really for real and if they've been doing it with smoke and mirrors. Now, our next game is the Panthers win their second game in a row over the Little Giants, 20-17 in overtime. The last coach to lose to Carolina was fired. The last coach was fired. Okay, that's Felix calling in. Let's see if we can get Felix back on the phone. See what he has to say. Felix, you there?
Yes, I am.
My man. I'm assuming you're calling in to talk about your Commanders.
Yeah, I didn't want to take up too much of your time, but I just wanted to say this. The fact that we're just satisfied with that game. We're not thinking, we played a good game, we played a close game. Even when we won some of these games, we're raising questions. It's a great sign because it shows that the standard is high here. Mm-hmm. There's a point we're just happy to barely beat the Jaguars a couple of years ago. And I say that because I'm one of those people. I'm a fan of different sports, so I notice how my teams that are struggling, like say the Nationals or the Wizards,
Mm-hmm.
I'm happy if we just win a game. But I think
How
about the
about that?
Capitals, right?
Well, Felix, to say Washington football and playoffs in the same sentence.
I know.
Come on, man. That's why I tried to start this off, man. We don't need no Commanders fans jumping off buildings. You guys are fine. You're 7-3. You're gonna make the
Exactly.
playoffs. It's they're fine. But the point that I was making, Felix, is even with all these mental mistakes that they made, they still could have won this game.
Exactly. And that's just the sport of football. It's just, plenty of great teams lose games like this. And sure, it stings in the moment because, you could have had it. You should have had it. And because the NFC is so tightly contested, we went from the second seed all the way down to 6 within 3 hours. But that aside, we still have a 90% chance going into the playoffs. That didn't change. But at the same time, what I wanted to get at was I like the fact that the standard is so high that fans, even though that wasn't a big deal in the greater scheme, I just like the fact that our team is good enough to have high expectations. And what I want to get at, this reminds me of when I was a Capital, well, I still am a Capitals fan, but how the Capitals were when I was a teenager. Like, we're so good. Sometimes I just talk to someone after a game. I was like, man, I can't believe the Capitals, how they performed tonight. They'd be like, what happened? Did the Capitals lose? Like, no, we won, but we didn't beat them by enough points. I would talk like that all the time. So,
well, Felix, so you telling me that you didn't lose your mind the way Troy did? Troy came over and watched the game with me, and man, he didn't handle it very well. We're gonna leave it at that.
It wasn't sponsor-friendly language.
Exactly. Well, look, since I got you here, and I'm kind of getting ahead of myself, but I got you here. I want to take advantage of this. Thursday night, we got the Eagles versus your Washington Commanders. What's your preview on this Thursday night game coming up, Felix?
You know what? At first, I think it's going to come down to intangibles. At first, I'm looking at a situation where the Commanders, I thought we were going to win against Pittsburgh. And I was thinking Philadelphia would catch us sleeping. But now this is a point where you're talking about a very talented team going in with a lot of motivation. Basically, they're going up against the Philadelphia Eagles team. And quite frankly, they can't do to Jaden Daniels what the Steelers could do. They have an elite pass rush. So you're going up against a team with a considerably, I wouldn't say the worst in the game, but, the pass rush is not at Pittsburgh's level. And you're going up against a motivated Washington team. I definitely think this is a game Washington could win. And people really underestimate the factors. When a good team loses a close game like that, you're almost certain they're going to win the next week, every single time. So that's practically my takeaway. And besides that, I mean, you look at last year's game before Washington even had a concept of what they would be this year. They took Philadelphia to the limit both games. You're talking about the worst offensive line in football last year. Now, if you actually read the stats, Pro Football Focus ranks Washington's offensive line as the most efficient in the league. It's not me saying this. I'm reading this off of the source. So this is a greatly improved team. So, and not to mention, there's several records that no offense in the NFL since the year 2000 have had that Washington has this year. So I definitely think that this is a game Washington should win on Thursday.
Okay, well, I got two quick questions for you, Felix. Number one, are we in agreement that we're ready to call Washington a good team?
Yes, I mean, I wanted to wait on it because I've seen this movie before.
Yes, I'm ready to call them a good team too. I'm jabbing at you, but the second thing is I didn't get much information. Were you able to find out anything about Saquon Barkley's injury and if he's going to be available for the Thursday night game?
No new updates yet about that. But I'll definitely be keeping my eye on that. So of course Barkley's out, and Brian Robinson's out. But I definitely say Barkley being out for the Eagles. Well, I mean, I knew not out, but I know that they're hurt. But I would say this. I would say Barkley being injured, that's a greater impact to Philadelphia because I dare to say that they're more reliant on him. Take nothing away from Jalen Hurts, but I think that's a bigger blow. Washington can kind of maneuver around without Robinson. It's not going to be nearly as good. But the Eagles without them, you're forcing Jalen Hurts to be one. You're forcing the Eagles to be one-dimensional.
Mhm.
That's not going to pan out for them.
You know, Felix, I think people are really missing how truly important Brian Robinson is to the Washington Commanders offense.
Yes.
I think he's equivalent, and I don't think I'm overstating this by saying I think just how Derrick Henry is important to the Ravens. I think Brian Robinson is that important to the Commanders. What's your thoughts on that?
Yes. Anytime you have a skilled running back, that's really the cornerstone of any successful NFL team. Even if you say the NFL is a passing league, you can't establish a solid passing game without first establishing the run 9 times out of 10. Because if there's no threat of a decent runner, you don't have to be conservative with blitzing. You can go all out and put the quarterback under pressure the entire game. So even if you look at times we didn't have a good offensive line. When Washington was able to figure out what blocking schemes allowed more running yards, those were the games that they won because they were able to keep the defense on their toes. So really, to your point, if you look at any offense that has succeeded, I don't care if the NFL is a passing league, even if you look at the AFL, which is a passing league to the umpteenth degree in the mid-20th century, generally the teams that had the strong running backs were the teams with the most success.
Isn't it interesting that both of those guys are Alabama running backs, Derrick Henry and Brian Robinson? Isn't that interesting?
Something in the water.
Roll Tide. Hey man, if you hear anything else, give me a call if you want to jump back in.
Most certainly. All right, take care.
All right, thanks for calling. All right, that's our main man, Felix. Let's get back to the Giants. Listen, man, the G-men are getting worse. In front of an international audience, losing to a lowly Carolina Panthers team. The ball is now 17-26-1. This game was bad, and neither team deserved to win. Daboll should have gotten his second tie of his career, but the G-men find a way to lose like losers do. Sorry, I'm just talking the facts. And I was looking online earlier, and I was reading where they were saying that is there any way that the Giants could leave Daniel Jones in Germany and and not bring him back to New York with them? Let's get to our next game, man. Our next game is I think it's the New England Patriots beat the Chicago Bears, 19-3. I told you guys that the Pats play hard every week, and that the Bears were done after the Hail Mary loss to Felix and Troy and Nat Woods, Washington Commanders. New England's defense stole the show with 9 sacks, 13 quarterback pressures and hits, and they only allowed 142 yards total. Or check this out. Or did the Bears' offensive line just stop blocking for the rookie Caleb Williams? Now, think about that for a second. Something's going on in Chicago. It's not nearly as bad as what's going on in Dallas, but something is going on in Chicago. And I had someone tell me that he thought that the offensive line stopped blocking for Caleb Williams on purpose. And I think it's clear to everyone that the Bears should have taken Jaden Daniels out of LSU. But now people are questioning, should they have even taken Bo Nix or even Drake May over Caleb Williams out of North Carolina? Remember, in the beginning of the year, the talk was that no QB first overall pick was coming into a better situation ever than what Chicago had stockpiled for their incoming rookie quarterback. The headline in Chicago today is, the Bears are criminally failing rookie QB Caleb Williams. But that's what the Bears do. That's what they do. That's their history with QBs. It's why I said they should have kept Justin Fields in the first place, because with all the sexy skill players that they brought in, they didn't improve the offensive line. Listen, man, Justin Fields was running for his life last season, and Caleb Williams isn't equipped to play like that. The boos at Soldier Field were angry, frustration and embarrassment over pledging allegiance to this sad, sad franchise. You can't live in 1985 forever. Caleb Williams is holding the ball too long. The knock on him coming out of USC was his game was extending plays out of the pocket, which is a good skill to have as a quarterback. But he's holding the ball too long. What's not being said out loud is he's he's not reading his progressions properly, or I should say fast enough. Listen, you'll never go broke making a small profit on the check down. If Caleb Williams is to continue this year, he's going to have to embrace this philosophy and take the check down. Coach Matt Eberflus' seat is getting hotter and hotter and hotter. Another front office mistake. You brought in a new quarterback. QB needs a new coach in Chicago. And like I've been saying, these guys aren't ready to start in the NFL straight out of college. Give them some time to learn. It's why they should have kept Justin Fields. Let me ask you this. How good would Marvin Harrison Jr. look in a Chicago Bears uniform now? And with that number 9 pick, they could have picked the best offensive lineman available. Listen, no organization can overcome bad leadership at the top. Look at the Washington turnaround after getting rid of Daniel Snyder. Look at the St. Louis Baseball Cardinals. They're in trouble because of the front office. Look at the Alice Cowgirls. You can't overcome bad leadership at the top. The Bears haven't scored a TD in their last 23 possessions. Where is the leadership on the Bears team? The players have got to step up in Chicago. Look, man, the key component a leader must have is to be able to influence other people around them. They have to buy in and want to follow you, or you aren't a leader. It's as simple as that. Real quick, last week, the Patriots had the number 1 overall pick in the upcoming 2025 NFL draft. With the win yesterday, they dropped from number 1 to number 6 pick overall. Now, New England, you better start tanking. Travis Hunter with Drake May is a combination that you can build a winner out of. Okay, so you guys need to chill out and cut out that winning stuff. All right. Our next game is my San Francisco 49ers. San Francisco 49ers in a must win. This was a critical win, and they were going against a very, very tough Tampa Bay Buccaneers, man. Man, I can't believe that the Buccaneers have lost 5 games, man. 6 games. I think it's 6 games now. I can't believe it, man. That they're the best 6-loss team in all of the NFL. They're not in first place in their division, and the Atlanta Falcons have beaten them twice. But I'm convinced that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are still a better team than the Atlanta Falcons, who's leading that league. Like I said, it was a tough Tampa Bay Buccaneers team. They won 23-20 in overtime. The Bucs, like I said, they're the best 6-loss team in all of the NFL. My Niners improved to 5-4 after Jake Moody finally made a 44-yard field goal as time expired, giving the 49ers, like I said, a must win. They battled through numerous mistakes and adversity, and they found a way to win. Good teams do, bad teams don't. It was an ugly game. Christian McCaffrey finally made his season debut, killing my fantasy hopes, and the Niners have a lot to work on. They still aren't finishing drives. And if they depend on kicker Jake Moody, they'll be going home soon, okay? Because you're not going to beat Detroit. You're not going to beat Mother Wiggs' Kansas City Chiefs. You're not going to beat the Baltimore Ravens. You're not even going to beat the Washington Commanders kicking field goals. The defense is playing better, but if you're not scoring 24 or more points, you're not going to win consistently in the NFL. Right now, the 49ers special teams is hurting them, and people in general have a tendency to overlook this aspect of the game. But it's just as critical as the offense and defense. Great offense and great defensive teams have lost when it counts the most because of a missed extra point or a missed field goal or a muffed punt. The Niners better straighten up and fly right quickly Arizona looks like they're serious, okay? They do. They look like they're serious. Let's get to our next game. Our next game, we're going to spend a little time out. We want to talk about Mother Wiggs, Kansas City, Mother Wiggs, undefeated Kansas City Chiefs. Let's get that straight. Undefeated Kansas City Chiefs. All righty. So these divisional games, they're always tough. And Denver outplayed Kansas City yesterday, just like the Bengals outplayed Kansas City, just like the Ravens outplayed Kansas City, just like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers outplayed Kansas City, just like the Falcons outplayed them. And guess what? They all still lost to the two-time defending Super Bowl champs. Next victim up, the Denver Broncos. Nat Wood, they had that Royal American look on their face, okay? It was right there for their taking. And like previous teams before, they just wouldn't take it. Look, man, in boxing, you got to beat the champ. The referee and the judges are not going to give you a decision over the champ. You got to knock the champ out. You can't be kicking field goals to win. Well, maybe you can. Well, not. This was as bad a loss as the Commanders over the Bears on the Hail Mary game. An extra point is 33 yards. It's a 33-yard field goal. Yesterday, with 1 second left, from 35 yards out in a 16-14 game, the Broncos' whole left side of the line collapsed and let everyone in to block the game-winning field goal. Now, don't get me wrong, Denver's kicker was in on the fix as well. Also, because an extra point, you're not trying to kick the ball far, just high so the kick doesn't get blocked. It's like a 60-degree wedge shot in golf. You pop it straight up and through. At 60 years old, I can go out right now and make that 35-yard field goal to beat Mother Wiggs, Kansas City Chiefs. That's absolutely ridiculous, and that's horrible. That's horrible missing that kick at the end of the game. And even though the Broncos' offensive line didn't block anyone, Will Lutz should be ashamed of himself. I've seen Phil Mickelson hit a 60-degree wedge over someone's head standing 2 feet in front of him because that's how quick and high that shot is, and it's the same way on extra points. Will Lutz said, our job as a field goal unit is to put the ball between the uprights, and we didn't do it, Lutz said. You still think these games aren't on the up and up? Do you still think, look, if you're still betting on the NFL football, you are crazy. Can you say fix? Patrick Mahomes is now 13-1 against the Denver Broncos. He owns the Denver Broncos. Let's get to our next game. Our next game we're going to cover is the Buffalo Bills versus the Indianapolis Colts. The Bills beat the Colts 30-20. The Bills beat the Colts 30-20. And they moved to 8-2. Josh Allen ties O.J. Simpson with his 57th rushing touchdown as they set up a match with Mother Wiggs Kansas City Chiefs next week, which should be for the number 1 seed in the AFC playoff seeding. Josh Allen didn't play well, throwing 2 picks, but they were playing the Colts. Like that other team in the Midwest, the Bears, they know how to lose. You know, I'm from the Midwest, so hey, it is what it is. Our next game is the Vikings beat the harmless Jacksonville Jaguars 12-7. Sam, I'll throw a pick, Darnold has showed up like I felt. He showed up like I felt all year long that the Vikings who they're extremely well coached. Nevertheless, they've been winning with smoke and mirrors. And the Jags are really bad. The Vikings could have that many mistakes and score only 12 points and still win. That's terrible. That's terrible. Jacksonville had their $55 million quarterback on the bench. You can buy a really, really nice yacht for $55 million. Speaking of smoke and mirrors, let's get to, speaking of smoke and mirrors, the Atlanta Falcons lose to the Saints 20-17. This is the Falcons' worst loss of the year. They could have locked up the division over the Saints and the Bucks with a win. Man, this is a really, really, really bad win. And you know what? Kirk Cousins catches a lot of flack in general, and this is where Kirk Cousins has made a ton of money. Kirk Cousins made more money than Davy Crockett. He's made more money than Forrest Gump. Okay, but this is where Kirk kind of gets, you know, he's just when they need him to come through, he's just not doing it. He puts up good stats, and I can't, and I'm not blaming this win all on Kirk Cousins, but this was a terrible win. I mean, come on, man. The Saints had lost 7 games in a row. They just fired their coach, and you're in the division lead, and you come in and lose to the Saints with an interim coach. Can't do that. Can't do that. Our next game is the Chargers beat the Tennessee Titans 27-17. The Chargers' toughness and energy under Jim Harbaugh is evident in its win over the Titans. The Chargers get their 6th win of the season after only winning 5 games last year. Coaching matters in the NFL. I say this all the time. Besides being quirky, Harbaugh's emphasis is on toughness. He's old school, coming up and playing under Bo Schembechler at Michigan. His teams are going to run the ball and play hard-nosed defense. His specialty is quick turnarounds, and he's won everywhere that he's been. The Chargers are his latest project, and they could be the Chiefs' first loss of the season. Don't be surprised. Tom the Bomb won't. I'm telling you right now that the undefeated Brother Wiggs, undefeated Kansas City Chiefs, that first win could come against Harbaugh's Los Angeles Chargers. Our next game is the Arizona Cardinals versus the New York Jets. The Arizona Cardinals defeated the Jets 31-6. The Cards head into their bye week still atop the NFC West ahead of my 49ers. Like I said last week, Kyler Murray is running the point guard position to perfection with 266 yards passing on 22 of 24 completions for a 127 passer rating. He had 17 straight completions and a TD throw along with 2 rushing TDs. James Conner held down the ground game with 17 carries for 113 yards rushing. It's been a very, very nice turnaround for the Arizona Cardinals because they started off 2-4. They started off 2-4, and starting for the Cardinals. Now, Aaron Diva Rodgers was tight-lipped after the Jets lost to the Cardinals. I bet he's not relaxing now. At 3-7, he's officially sabotaged this season for the Jets. The Jets, being a lot of people's preseason Super Bowl contenders, now they're a joke for the playoffs. The Jets in the playoffs. You talking about Super Bowl? They're not even going to make the playoffs. You got to be kidding me. I just hope we can win another game. Playoffs. The Jets are lollygaggers. How did they ever win 3 games? How did they ever win 3 games? Speaking of lollygaggers, fire in the hole. There's serious dissension in the ranks in Dallas. You reap what you sow. Cooper Rush threw for 45 yards on 23 pass attempts. I promise you that Trey Lance can't be worse. It's time to see what Trey can do. Give him a chance, honey. Give him a chance, Jerry. Give Trey a chance. Captain Obvious on ESPN, I ain't calling no name, I'm just going to say Captain Obvious, y'all know who that is, said that the Cowboys have a cultural problem. Come back to me. We're going to have fun with this. Let's come out of this. Listen, Captain Obvious said the Cowboys have a cultural problem. It's me instead of we. No, really? Well, how long have they known? How long have they known? Is there anything that we can do to help? How long do they have to live? Will they ever win another game? You mean Dak is gone for the season? No. How long will he be out? Well, Marvin said that are they still them boys? Are they still America's team? Yes, they are. And our new president fully supports them. He's gonna make Dallas great again. Lord forgive me. now, now, Michael Parsons has temporarily taken over Jerry Jones' job of who can say the most stupidest thing. Okay, uh, insert foot in mouth, Michael. Really, really, we talking about dissension in the ranks. They're publicly now pointing fingers at each other as the world turns in Dallas. They better call JR. He'll straighten things out in Dallas. Michael Parsons is way out of line with his comments. And even if it's true, you can't say that publicly. Now let's talk about the Eagles. Fly, Eagles, fly. Jalen Hurts set an NFL record, becoming the first QB to rush for 10 plus TDs for 4 consecutive years, breaking a tie with Cam Newton. Jalen Hurts also notched his 50th rushing touchdown, joining Cam Newton with 75 touchdowns and Josh Allen with 57 touchdowns as the only other 2 QBs to have 50 rushing touchdowns. The Eagles have found the winning formula, giving the ball to Saquon Barkley. Let's hope his injury is not serious. And if Nick Sirianni can stay out of his own way, the Eagles should fly. Let's get to our next game. Actually, it's going to be our last game. Our next game was the Detroit Lions overcome Jared Goff's worst game with 5 interceptions to rally to stun the Houston Texans with 19 unanswered second half points to beat Houston 26-23. It was an ugly performance, but like I said earlier, good teams win when they're not playing well, and bad teams don't. The Lions are 8-1, and everyone's picked for the Super Bowl in the NFC. Some people are calling them the best team in the NFL, even though Mother Wiggs, 2-time Super Bowl champions, are still undefeated at 9-0. And last time I checked, they still got Michael Jordan quarterbacking. Yeah, I know that's foolish, right? The Lions keep showing that they can win games in different ways. In every game, there are key plays that swing momentum from a win to a loss and vice versa. C.J. Stroud missing a wide open receiver in the end zone with a moon ball that turned into an interception was the key play to turning a sure win for the Texans into a loss against the Lions. That it's a tough win, man. You got to win that game. You got to win that game, man. You have to win that game. They actually shut the Texans down. The Texans didn't score any points in the second half after they missed that touchdown play, but you got to take advantage of momentum, man. Momentum is a real thing in sports, and particularly in football, man. So let's get to tonight's game. The Dolphins are taking on the Rams at 8:15 p.m. Eastern on ESPN. Okay. So let's start off with our picks right here, heading into Week 11. By the way, I like the Rams tonight over the Dolphins. Tua's back. They're playing better, but I still like the Rams in this one. So let's get to our picks. We get to the Thursday night. The NFC East has a chance to turn back into the beast instead of the NFC least. I like Felix. I actually like the Commanders over the Eagles in this one, okay? Our next game is the Las Vegas Raiders versus the Miami Dolphins. The Raiders are professional tankers, and they are tanking for that number 1 pick. They need a quarterback. So take Miami here because I'm telling you, the Raiders are tanking, and they ain't going to mess around. You know, in New England, they got pride, you know, and, they trying to win games and build something. The Raiders are tanking. Okay, so take Miami in this one. Our next game is the Cleveland Browns versus the New Orleans Saints. And this was a great emotional win last week for the Saints, but Tom Baum is taking the Browns in this one. I like the Browns in this game. Our next game is the the Indianapolis Colts versus the Jets. I'm taking the Colts in this one. Like I said, Aaron has sabotaged the Jets' whole season, man. This Aaron Rodgers is a Hall of Fame quarterback. His whole tenure in New York is doing nothing but ruining his reputation. He's still going to make it into the Hall. He's still one of the best quarterbacks, but he's just not that guy anymore. They brought his pacifier in and Devontae Adams, but it's not helping. That's like a grown person walking around with a pacifier in their mouth. People think you crazy. It's okay for a baby to have a pacifier in their mouth, but for a grown man to be walking around with a pacifier in his mouth, Aaron Rodgers has sabotaged the New York Jets. Okay, they're terrible. They're terrible. Our next game is the Minnesota Vikings versus the Tennessee Titans. I like the Vikings in this one. Titans just don't have it this year. Our next game, the Packers own the Bears. I'm taking the Packers. It's that simple. I told you guys that the Bears are done. They're done. And like I said, they own the Bears anyway. Take the Pack in this one. Now, the Detroit Lions have a bye this week against the Jaguars. Sorry, Jacksonville. That's not nice, but hey, come on. Who you going to take? The Lions or wait a minute. Lori, who you like in this game? The Lions or the Jacksonville? I put on a spot in front of our Jacksonville friends. Right, exactly. You know what I'm saying. Our next game is the Rams versus the New England Patriots. Like I said, the Pats are well coached, but I like the Rams in this one. Then our next game is the Ravens versus the Steelers. This is the game that I really want to see. I'm going to take the Ravens in this game, but listen, I'm not going to be surprised if Pittsburgh wins. Now, Pittsburgh is not a better team than the Ravens. You can forget about that. They aren't. But this is a divisional game, and the Ravens and the Steelers play the toughest games in all of the NFL. Nobody plays harder against each other than it might be the best rivalry in all the NFL. The same way that we saw the Denver Broncos get up and almost beat Mother Wig's Kansas City Chiefs, that's what we're going to have in this game with the Steelers versus the Ravens. So Tom the Bomb is taking the Ravens, but not going to be surprised at all if somehow the Steelers pull it because they're so well coached, man. And Mike Tomlin is so much smarter than what people want to give him credit for. I hate to say it like this, but well, first of all, as an African-American head coach in the NFL, to be there for 18 years, to never have a losing record, he's good. You know he's good. But even with that being said, you don't really know how good he really is, And we talked about being a leader a little bit earlier. And the key with the leadership is the ability to influence people. And Mike Tomlin has that ability to influence 53 rich grown men and get them to follow him. That's a powerful leader, man. That's a powerful leader. Our next game is the Seattle Seahawks versus my San Francisco 49ers. You guys know Tom the Bomb likes the Niners. It's going to be a good game, but Tom the Bomb's taking the Niners. Then we got the Atlanta Falcons versus the Broncos. I like the Denver Broncos in this. I've been saying all year the Broncos have a great defense. And then we got the Chiefs versus the Bills. I'll take the Chiefs, but it should be a good one. Like I said, could be, an AFC championship matchup. If the Chiefs don't go undefeated, this is another one of the games that I think they could lose. The only games that the Chiefs are even able to lose, they could lose to the Bills. They could lose to the Chargers. And that's pretty much it. If they get past the Bills and the Chargers, they could touch them all. But like I said, Andy Reid's going to sit his players once they get to about week 14, 15. He's going to start resting people because, people are concerned that the Chiefs really, really haven't hit their stride. I don't think we can point at one game and say, man, that was vintage Chiefs there, man. They were all clicking. Even Patrick Mahomes is off a little bit. He missed some passes in that game on Sunday. But, hey, like I said, good teams win when they don't have their A game. And the champs know how to win. It's that simple. The next game is the Cincinnati Bengals versus the Chargers. I'm taking the Bengals in this one. I think the Chargers are a better team, but the Bengals are desperate, and this is their last hope to make the playoffs if they don't win this game. Next Monday night is the Battle of Texas. I'm taking the Houston Texans, over the Dallas Cowgirls. Look, let me ask you guys this before we get out of here. Do you guys think Dallas is ever going to win another game this year? I do, think they are going to win. Well, you know what? I thought they were going to win a game, but now that Dak is out, that's actually really not a bad question. Do you guys think that the Dallas Cowboys are going to win a game again this year? Man, they reaping what they sow, man. Hey, gang, that's our show for today. Let's cover our trivia question real quick. Let's cover our trivia question. Let me see if I can get to that really quick. It's where?
It was there.
Did I pass it already?
It was at the end. Yeah, keep going.
No, I didn't do it like that. Okay, let me see if I can get to it. All right, quick. All right, there we go. Okay. So our trivia question is, in honor of Veterans Day, who was the last Heisman Trophy winner from one of the military academies? Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines. You guys take your guesses. I'm going to give you the answer. The answer is in 1963, Roger Staubach from Navy became the second Naval Academy football player in 4 years to win the Heisman Trophy. Roger the Dodger led Navy to a number 2 ranking in the country and a berth in the Cotton Bowl, where he set records for completions and passing yards at the time. Roger Staubach was a consensus All-American. He was a Maxwell Trophy winner. He was a Walter Camp Memorial Trophy. Staubach lettered in 3 sports at Navy: football, basketball, and in baseball. In 1963, he hit .420. After a tour in Vietnam, he joined the Dallas Cowgirls and led Dallas to 4 Super Bowl appearances, winning in 1972 and 78. He played for 11 years, and he had a record of 90-31 and as a starting quarterback. And he was elected to the Pro Football Hall of Fame in 1981 in his first year of eligibility. And I can tell you with a straight face, he's the only cowboy that I ever loved. I mean, if Roger Staubach was Captain America, and I ain't never, ever been a cowboy fan, but if you didn't like Roger Staubach, you just wasn't American. And that's the only cowboy that I ever loved. Now, there's been cowboys that I've liked, but Roger is the only one that I ever loved. The answer to the poll question is Roger Staubach in 1963, the last member of the military academies to win the Heisman Trophy. All righty. And like I said, hey man, that's our show. Let's see. That's a lot of writing, isn't it? So what do you guys think? Dallas going to ever win a game? All righty. Okay. All righty. Now, our poll question we're going to get to next week because we want to look at what your thoughts are on the subject. We're going to check our emails. Like I said, you can check the email. You can comment on Facebook. Hey, don't forget to check out our website at www.tomthebombsports.com. And you can contact us by email at info@tomthebombsports.com. Hey, for a dynamic, in-depth sports analysis and highlights for sports in the DMV and more, check out the Washington Sports Den Thursdays at 2 p.m. Eastern on WBGR with my main man, Felix Bassi. Man, time flies when you're having fun. We're out of time here, but we sure do thank you for spending your time with us. We don't take that for granted at all. Listen, may the gates of heaven open and pour an abundance of blessings down on you where there won't be room enough to contain it. Remember, if you want it, you got to confess it with your mouth and believe it in your heart that Jesus died on the cross and that he rose on the 3rd day, not a Thursday, just for you. Remember, darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. And hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that. God bless you. We'll see you guys on this same bat time, on this same bat station. You guys have a good evening. Enjoy the game tonight. And again, we just want to say Happy Veterans Day from me and Lori. Say Happy Veterans Day, Lori. She's so cute. You guys have a good evening. God bless you. Thanks for watching.